Wendy, the DA's office is in charge of this investigation, yet the attorney for Plum's high school principal says no one there will talk with him. He says his client is being ignored and he fears that he'll be charged without ever getting a chance to tell his side.
He doesn't want the police or anyone else come knocking in his door in the middle of the night and coming and arresting him.
Plum High School principal Ryan Casella is nervous and worried about what's to come, according to his attorney Steve Townsend, who sees signs of an ambush arrest. You might be blindsided is what you're worried about.
Well, I hate to see that happen. You know, if there are going to be charges that come out of this investigation, I would hope that they would have extend me the courtesy, at least contacting me first, and so that I could bring him in to the authorities. He's not been interviewed by police. Even when they conducted the search of his office and confiscated documents and computers and things of that nature, they didn't ask him one question.
Plum Superintendent Timothy Glasspool tells me the same, that no one in his administration has been asked to provide testimony. And Townsend says he has offered his client to investigators repeatedly since questions began surrounding Casella and Glasspool over whether they knew about inappropriate actions by teachers in the district. Teachers Jason Cooper and Joseph Ruggieri have been charged with having relationships with students in the high school.
I've made several calls to the district attorney's office, but they have not returned my telephone call.
Our legal expert says they will in time.
If a key figure has not yet been summoned to the grand jury, I would simply say they just haven't got to that person yet.
St. Vincent College professor Bruce Ankowiak is a former federal prosecutor as well as a former criminal defense attorney.
It's unlikely in a grand jury situation that an individual who is offering to come forward and give testimony, even if they were the target of the investigation, is not going to be given that opportunity.
But Ankowiak says not yet, that the grand jury works from the outside in, dealing with lesser players before calling on a key player, which Townsend says his client clearly is.
The district attorney basically put a target on school officials and administrators that they believe that they were turning a blind eye to the situation of inappropriate behavior.
But Townsend says his client is the reason inappropriate activity came to light in the first place.
The reason why they are charged is because he received credible information, took it to the authorities, and actually did the mandated reporting.
But in Plum, there have been reports that inappropriate relationships were brought to administrators years earlier, and back then, authorities were never called.
I can tell you this, he did nothing wrong. If there was inappropriate behavior back in the past, he would have done the right thing and he would have reported it to the authorities or to higher administration.
And Townsend says his client is more than willing to explain that to the DA's detectives. But the fact that they're not interested is frustrating.
Well, my fear is that, you know, basically with the target on his back, what they've said they're going to investigate, and they believe that it's an administration problem, that he is a target of the investigation, and maybe that's why they're not contacting us to interview the administrators.
I contacted the DA's office to ask why they haven't talked to administrators. The response I received was that they can't comment on anything connected to Plum. Our legal expert says the reason detectives from the DA's office may not be calling back is because at this stage, interviews with the detectives personally would be off the table because there's a grand jury involved. And he says the grand jury would handle that as part of testimony. He also believes that will happen. It just will happen when the grand jury starts to wrap up. And he believes it will happen even if the superintendent and the principal are set to be charged. Reporting live downtown, Marcy Cipriani, Pittsburgh's Action News 4.